Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the JJamz podcast. My name is Julian Hernandez and I'm joined by
Lee Heron, and today we are going to look at the storming of Area 51.
the new Facebook controversy topic that everybody has been talking about, which is blown up with 2 million people clicked going on the Facebook event, which is insane.
Absolutely crazy. And you think then there's another 1.5 million interested, so you've got 3.5 million people looking at it.
And all the memes that have been posted all over Facebook. Like, it's been a pretty intense event.
And especially when you consider they already pulled it down and then it went straight back up. So this is actually a second wave of people that want to actually go and that are interested in it. So even cancelling the event's done nothing, and you've got close to 100,000 posts on the page, and it is nearly ready for go time, September 20.
September the 20th to the 22nd, I believe, that the event had been put up. And there's all the... I'm currently on the Facebook page.
We'll put some of these memes up over the podcast as well, so you can have a look at them. There are some belters, some very funny ones, and some not so. But there's still quite a few there worth a look. So we'll show you what's inspired us. And there's Julian.
Mid-podcast plug. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. The Instagram is JJamz, JJamz.aus.
So essentially, we've really got it. For anyone that doesn't know, we've got to look at the background of what Area 51 is. And it doesn't help the government's cause when they first had this base. I think they acquired the land in 1955. And then for many years, they denied that it existed. So they just said anyone who believes in it is a conspiracy theorist. They're an idiot. They're retarded, whatever it may be. Until the 2013 Freedom of Information Act said that, no, this is declassified. You have to let people know. And then it's suddenly acknowledged.
Yeah, one of the first guys that actually had worked in part of Area 51, Bob Lazar, came out to expose what he had worked with within the Area 51 space. And he had been working on UFO technology with, what element was it? It was
115.
115, element 115, and how they used it to create these levitating UFO structures. And it had created a force field around the sphere object. I was watching a documentary.
It was the tops on the like how you see a stereotypical flying saucer. You see the black. They almost look like windows. People think they were. I always thought they were windows, but it turns out they're not. They're the actual power source, if you like, or the directional force of how they move
To find where to fly to.
Yes,
in space.
Yeah. Because you were saying the other day when. We were having a little pre-recording chat that they can't use rockets in space or something.
No, they what they use is these levitating structures at the bottom actually create a force field and defy gravity. And Bob Lazar explained that when you put the element 115 at the top of the space shuttle, it directs and projects it with 3 active...
Oh, were they they look like batteries or solar panels? Were they the ones down the...
Yeah, at the bottom. The bottom 4. I'll pull
it
up
transfers
an image.
down to the bottom.
Pull up an image.
Yeah, we'll put an image
now
on over the top so people can see it. But that's essentially what he was reporting on. And he came out and he said, look, I've never seen aliens there. However, I have seen, was it 7 or 8 or 9 alien craft?
It was 8 to 9 UFOs structures.
Structures, that he had actually seen. So... Clearly, he's one of the first whistleblowers to come out, but then you've also got retired sergeants, retired major generals, and so on, high-profile, high-level army officers and clearance with top-secret clearance coming out and all saying the same thing, that the government has a UFO program. So clearly, there's more there than meets the eye, and where there's smoke, there's fire. So I think there's clearly a massive movement now to reveal what the secrets are, and I think that's one of the key things here is the secrets. No one likes secrets, and they've had enough, and that's why we've got so many people.
And that's why there's so much... With the Facebook event that had popped up, that's why it had so many people interested, because people were like, oh, bring out the aliens, bring out what you're hiding.
Yeah, show us everything that you have there. So you've got all these people now thinking that they're going to be able to get through and run through it, but they're just going to get the shit shot out of them. So it's going to be literally worth watching or waiting for. Hopefully it's a peaceful situation, but you never know. But I think as well, what's happening is people are, because of the fascination, the government's pushing everyone to look to Area 51, they're diverting everyone's attention to the obvious. But people want to get this confirmation, this definitive proof that there's greys or greens or lizards or whatever in Area 51, which is probably unlikely. The technology in the advanced flying craft, yep, I definitely believe that's there. But I think people want to be storming the North Pole rather than storming Area 51. There's there's so many parts of the world that basically scream distant technology here that's in use, and rather than just Area 51. So you've got the pyramids, for example, which have been standing for thousands and thousands of years. But people have it in their minds that the alien has to be grey or green with these big, massive eyes like 1,000 strobe lights have hit them. I mean, is it that simple?
And abducting in UFOs.
Yeah, and abductions and stuff, yeah.
Having human substances and testing and, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like, is it really going to be that obvious that the government are going to direct everyone to Area 51? Or,
well, since it's so restricted, so many people just believe that there's some alien technology within
that base.
I
don't know if it's... well, there's reports of alien craft being recovered, and then they've got the scientists in to back engineer them.
Because they've had actually power... They said that... So Bob Lazar explained within the documentary that they were like alien artifacts that they had powered, and they wanted him to learn how it worked to reverse engineer,
yeah,
and recreate it to try and make more of these UFO structures.
Yeah, to develop and design them. That's right.
Yeah.
With a lot of this stuff as well, and we were looking at it the other day too, they found the drawings or the carvings of the alien or the spacecraft, yeah, and they were found in Mexico, New Zealand, literally like 4 different corners of the world.
And they all looked so similar.
Yeah, they're all so similar. We'll see if we can get a picture up on that. And you've got to remember at this time they didn't have the internet or television or anything else, so they could only... how did they all see the same thing or imagine the same thing? What are the chances of that?
It's pretty crazy.
It doesn't add up. It's like, what would be the chance of that happening? So people are adding 2 and 2 at the moment and coming up with Area 51, which is Operation Certain Death. But if they started looking and doing a little bit more research and a little bit more subtlety, then suddenly the claim of civilization as we know it today just being 5,000 years old, suddenly that's blown out the water. And then you start looking at different technologies, the Kosovan pyramid as well. There's thousands of pyramids all over the world, not just in Egypt. But once you start looking a little bit more closely into the so-called history that we get taught in universities or at school, you suddenly realize that there's massive gaps in that. And from there, you start trying to fill those gaps in. Yeah, and when 100%. You fill those gaps in, you suddenly realise, Jesus, there is more to this than meets the eye.
Yeah, exactly right.
So, the easiest thing to throw at people is conspiracy theorist. But the conspiracy theorists were right all along. Area 51 does exist. So suddenly they're not conspiracy theorists anymore. Yeah. So you've got to weigh it up and balance it, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
So what else did you find with Bob Lazar? And all your research?
Well, within the end of the documentary, he wanted to prove that he had still been watched. So the third interview that had ever been recorded with him, he went out into a forest. They hid their phones, so nothing could be recorded from that end.
Yep.
Went in the forest, recorded, encrypted the files, so no one could see it. And then the next day, Bob Lazar's house got raided. So it proves that though he is still out there living his normal life, the FBI is still watching him.
They still know.
For exposing Area 51 and what they are doing in there.
So I think what's pissing people off is all this secrecy. Why this secrecy? Like, I can understand why they do it in regards to technology and so on, because if they tested it in New York or Sydney, people would A, get shitty with the sound of it, and B, everyone else would see it. So suddenly you've got other world superpowers building and improving the same technologies, billions of dollars worth. However, the other stuff, such as what's at the North Pole, we can't be told. It's blacked out on Google, as you know. And everything else in terms of the secrecy surrounding the pyramids, the secrecy surrounding temples, Göbekli Tepe, the ancient site that's over 12,000 years old. Even the carbon dating on the pyramids, some people have suggested was built in 54,000 BC. So it's clear that there's ancient civilizations that have been here that are way more advanced than what we have today. It's just we're put in a box where everyone's
put on the Area 51 topic because of all the memes on Facebook about the Storm Area 51 event.
Yeah.
And although it was just put out as a meme, do you think people will actually go in and try and storm Area 51 on the date that the Facebook event chose it to be?
I actually think there will be people that
You
turn
think
up.
there
I
will be
actually
some?
do think there will be some people turn up.
How do you think they'll approach it though? Like,
With caution. I mean, can you imagine it? You're going to be standing there with people that are trained to kill, that want to kill.
Yeah.
They get a chance to fire their gun. They're Americans that want to fire their gun. They love shooting at things. So they're going to have all these people running at their perimeter lines where they're trained to shoot anything that moves.
they're going to get stormed. They're going to get flattened.
There's going to be a lot of danger there if they do. Hopefully they'll fire some warning shots just into the dirt.
Just to warn not to fuck with them.
Yeah,
because-
don't come any further, otherwise it's all over Red Rover.
Yeah.
But I think there will be a lot of people that go.
The
2 million, there's a
small
lot of
minority.
interest. Yeah,
Exactly.
There's a lot of interest there, and they're talking about obviously having a musical festival there as well. And the problem is if they put the musical festival there, as we said the other day, what's going to happen is after a few drinks or a few whatever that goes down at musical festivals these days,
idiots,
yeah,
drunk idiots will go, oh, let's go actually
let's
storm
go.
Area 51.
and they're going to do it. Yeah, and everyone's going to be too hammered and wasted to realise shit, that's a bad idea, but they're going to do it anyway. So it's a
gonna be
case
a
of
bloodbath.
it could be a
in the middle of
bloodbath,
nowhere.
yeah. But I think what people need to realise is, and you get this term conspiracy theorist thrown around, people, when you hear that, you start to think about what's not possible and what you've been told is possible. Rather than think along those lines, people need to be thinking, well, what is possible? What is possible? If someone tells me the Earth's flat or Earth's round, that's great, that's your opinion. I cannot say whether it's round or flat because I haven't seen it. So how can I? All that is hearsay. Why aren't people open to looking at different suggestions or possibilities?
Yeah.
Why are they closed off to it? Is it because they've been programmed to believe what they're told, or is that free thought or freedom of thought, or is it freedom, whatever it may be? But you don't know. For all I know, the Earth could be any shape. It doesn't affect my life. I don't care what shape the Earth is. Why does that impact me? As long as I get to sleep every day, eat my food, have a happy life, I don't care.
Yeah, everyone, keep your opinions to yourself. Don't.
Julian's just having technical difficulties speaking here. Do your own research, find your own thought processes, and David Icke is a big believer in that as well. I mean, he goes on about the reptilian elites and the reptilian bloodlines and so on, and but he normally says in at least once in one of his lectures, go and research this for yourself. Don't believe what I say, go and research it. And when you research it, you have to make that decision of, is this logically possible or is it bullshit?
Yeah.
Or how does it sit for you? But to believe what someone in the government's telling you or what anyone's telling you from a science perspective is absolute madness, because you're taking someone else's opinion, and what if they're wrong?
It's pretty insane to think that there were other beings that were on this planet that were so much smarter than us.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. But all the evidence points towards that.
Yeah, exactly. There was some technology... No. There were some parts in Egypt. There were these, I don't know what you call them, vases, but it was actually had nanotechnology within the vases.
Within the coding, yeah.
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 And it's well, how, thousands of years ago, how did they know how to do that? Because we only found, nanotechnology in the past, 20 years or something?
Yeah, it's almost like this technology's existed in years gone by. Then we've had a great flood or whatever happened. There was a lot of people have dated it to around 11,600 BC. And then this technology is starting to come back. Civilization's been rebuilt, and now it's getting to an accelerated point where we have all these computers, iPads, smartphones, technologies that are coming out now. But yeah, there's a lot of evidence there to suggest that the pyramids were healing temples, but more than that and above that, certainly with the guy over in the Kosovan pyramid, sorry. He actually was smart enough to realize that they could also be signal chambers. So he actually went up and to the very top, to the apex of the pyramid over there, and he recorded the hertz reading. And the pyramid actually sends out a hertz reading. I think it was something like 26,000 hertz or something. It was above the human level. I think it's 20,000 hertz for that humans can hear. Yeah. 20,000. But it was above the human frequency. But his recording devices and his testing equipment send it. So you've got these pyramids that were built to send signals to the heavens. Well, who were they sending them to in those days, thousands of years ago?
back home.
Like maybe back home, yeah, back home.
Alien signal to get
Alien signal.
communication device, you know.
Yeah. I nearly said anal signal there. Send an anal signal. Help me. But yeah, look, there's so much evidence there to point to ancient civilizations that were extraterrestrial, as we would deem it, or how we're led to believe today.
And people believe it's all at Area 51.
And people all believe it's there. It's concentrated there. That's where the alien gangbangs are. Area 51, yeah.
All the memes
all the memes,
that.
all the memes proving it. It's like, where else could they be? Look around you, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's funny with that guy over in Kosovo, because the government don't actually acknowledge it's a pyramid. They said it's a natural rock formation, would you believe?
But clearly, if you have a look at the photos, it's a pyramid.
By the very definition of a pyramid, it's a pyramid.
It has the 4 triangles.
Yeah.
It looks like a pyramid. I don't think that was a natural formation, as they would say.
No, it just defies belief. So I mean, look, you can see it for yourself if you go in and YouTube Kosovo pyramid. The guy does fascinating lectures. He's very well educated. Looks a bit like Indiana Jones, actually, like that sort of mad archaeological.
You did say that one thing he had was there was water coming out of the pyramid.
They found a natural spring under the pyramid, and this is very interesting because a lot of the pyramids that they've found were either in or around water. So it looks like what they've done is they've used the old adage of energy's never lost, it's only transferred. So they would somehow harness the flow of water, and then that would transfer into the sound wave into the hertz, which would send the signal from the pyramids.
At the top.
So there's up the top, and there's also suggestions that the pyramids were used to interlink to send free power around the globe.
And you did say it originally did have a gold top.
A lot of people believe that the pyramids had gold caps. Obviously, gold being the prime conductor, you don't lose any energy when it goes in or goes out. It runs through constant.
Yes, exactly.
So you had and this is, it's always fascinated me. If we were sitting in a cave as cavemen, and we weren't doing this podcast, would one of us suddenly go, oh no, let's go and find some gold? Or would we go, let's go and find something to eat, I'm hungry?
Exactly.
So where did the fascination with gold come from? Someone must have put it in from somewhere. So who was that and why? And you've got everyone looking to the left at Area 51, but everyone's not looking at the right. What else is going on?
What's actually happening?
What's actually happening, and what's causing it, what's driving it, why is it happening? And when you look at certain things, you've got the same bloodlines ruling things for thousands and thousands of years, which is a big topic to get into, certainly not worth it today, or we haven't got time. But when you look at the same bloodlines being in power for thousands of years, they know what's happened. 100% they know. And they're hiding the information through the education systems, through any reading materials and so on that get published. And this diversion of Area 51, I'm not buying it. That's just one of their bases. We've got them on, incidentally, here in Australia, which was Pine something? So no one's storming that because it's too bloody hot and it's in the middle of nowhere.
Pine
Gap, that's right. So that's where they do a lot of testing over there as well, which is again restricted airspace and restricted area, which is fair enough. You've got to have some areas where there's secrecy there that's going on.
It's a US satellite surveillance base run by the US.
Again.
Dead set in the middle of Australia, opened in 1970 when the
phenomena started.
When all the research, all the alien UFO research became big.
Is the exact same time. It's like there's probably a correlation between these two things. More than likely is that they started playing with this technology. So the Germans allegedly had there's certainly photographs that I've seen, and I can't find them anywhere again, but I remember clearly seeing them of German officers sitting in what looked like what we would deem a UFO, that disc, that egg-shaped disc sort of thing, the cylindrical disc. But then obviously after the war, when the German Nazi scientists were pushed into the US under was Operation Paperclip, then they took a lot of the top-level German scientists into the US to build this technology, to create it. And
so
at the same time, it's popping up.
Has been happening. How long do you believe that it's been happening for, though?
The actual technology of building the UFO?
Or just aliens in general? Like, where do you believe that it was first with the government? When do you believe back?
I think when it first started, back, I think it was something like 445,000 years ago, maybe longer. But it's been kept under wraps from the human population, as we would class ourselves as human. But there's certainly evidence of genetic DNA modifications with the human bloodlines and so on to make people more pliant, which is why when you have certain groups of people, you can normally spot someone who just doesn't have that same heart-based focus. They're more sort of clinical, more cold, more cutthroat. And we all know people like that. So... And then you have the people who are a lot gentler and a lot softer. And it's the Aboriginals of 65,000 years old, their culture, their race. And they would have to have and know some serious secrets that just aren't out there. They're just not put out there. So I think it's been around for a long time. And I think the government's been keeping it very quiet and keeping it under wraps for very obvious reasons. They don't want people to know because I believe they're still here. I actually believe they're still here, controlling the planet.
And the government is, you believe... is keeping it on the down low.
I think they're keeping it on the down low because I don't think anybody would be able to, or certainly a very small percentage of people would be able to process that, to process it. It's such a big leap to suddenly say, okay, well, there's alien races here. Remember we looked at that thing with, I think it was, they did it on a radio broadcast in New York in 1932 or 34, I think it was it Orson Welles or whatever, the War of the Worlds, where it played over the radio and said the Martians are coming, and everyone panicked in New York and they all freaked out and just like ran for the hills. It's like, I don't know what you think you're going to do and hide in the hills. They're going to find you.
Imagine the government releasing that they were...
Like if that was genuine and sincere, people literally like
freak out.
Yeah, they shit themselves. So this Area 51, I mean, let's imagine hypothetically they all get in there and they storm it. And obviously it's going to be a case of, I hope someone knows the way around because it's massive. This thing's a labyrinth. It's huge. But let's say they get in there, they find their way around and they do find aliens. Then what are they going to do? Has anyone thought about, let's say they get through the bullets, get through the fences, storm the guards are out the way.
What are they going to do
they find
when they get there?
What are they going to do when they get in there?
And how would they get out?
And how will they get out?
Everyone would be storming the base.
It's like, yeah, can you storm this to get us out? It's like, where does it stop? But I haven't heard anyone say they're all so focused on storming it to get in. What they're going to do once they're in? What would anyone do if they found a grey alien in there? What would they do?
Probably faint.
They'd probably faint. They'd probably shit themselves. They'd all turn around and run the other way. It's like that. This was a mistake. We didn't want to storm this after all. So it's just funny, like reading all this and seeing it on the Facebook pages and stuff. I mean, it's highly entertaining, of course, but I do think there's an element of a certain percentage of people that will go and they will try and get in. Absolutely, they will.
And a certain percentage will die.
A certain percentage will die, or at the very least, they'll be facing some serious jail time. Or maybe even anal probes. Who knows?
From these aliens.
From these so-called aliens. Aliens? Aliens? Aliens. And that's what I think as well. The guy, what was his name? Was it Matty Rogers, who set the event up? He then tried to backpedal and say, oh, no, it was just a joke. Yeah. And he was certainly afraid of having the CIA or the FBI on him, yeah. And it's like, well, Matty, I think it's a bit late for that. It's anal probe time for Matty. It's going that way. So, yes, not the smartest thing in the world he should have done. But it's just really took off. It's really just ballooned, and there's of course always been a lot of interest in the area because of the sightings of the planes, but that's their testing area, so you're going to see unidentified flying objects anyway.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what people expect to find it. They're not going to see 747s.
They're not going to be flying jets around the place.
Look, there's the Airbus 380. Oh, isn't that nice?
People do say, though, that the technology they have there are, like, quite advanced, right? What do you think they're holding in there? Like, what objects and technology do you think that they're creating that's so advanced? Like, do you think there's, like, holograms or something?
Well, this is going to sound a bit crazy, but years ago, apparently, and this is unverified, but apparently there were a few leaks that came out where the US wanted to project a hologram of Allah over the Middle East to instigate peace. It was their way of trying to instigate peace or trying to regain or retain control, regain or retain, one of the two. And the only reason they couldn't do it is they couldn't work out what Allah looked like. But they were going to project a giant hologram. So I believe the hologram technology is there, but I think more than that, I think they've got laser weaponry, and they would certainly have the anti-gravity, which is what Bob Lazar was saying. And that was going back, when was he? I think he worked there in the 80s, wasn't it?
It was in the 1989, I think it was.
Yeah, the 80s rings a bell where he worked there. But there's certainly technology that we don't know about And people are literally asking the question, why? Why is that? Why do you need to keep it so secret from the public? Because it's the public that are paying for it via their taxes.
Yeah, it was 1989.
Yeah, 89 as I was there. So you've got a situation where they've got a hidden an area that's seriously and very, very secure and completely restricted, with top secret clearance required and needed there through the MJ-12, which was signed in 1947 with President Truman, which is again is a secret, or was a secret, not so secret now, a group of people that were looking at extraterrestrial life. And the technologies that they have there, I dread to think. Like that, someone said, I think Nikola Tesla, the scientist, had developed something that he claimed could split the world in two with an earthquake, and that was back in the early 1900s. So why would you need to create that technology? Most people are happy if they can just, cook themselves a meal, or keep their beer cold. You don't need to be splitting the earth in two with that sort of technology, but they would have that sort of stuff there. They'd have this advanced weaponry that could just obliterate things if they needed to or wanted to.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy thinking that. And so many people are so oblivious to, like, what is in there. Yeah. Everyone thinks these memes, like, oh, yeah, aliens and stuff, oh, it's all just a big joke. And I think that's why it's so big on Facebook. Maybe.
I think it's the curious, too. The curiosity killed the cat sort of thing.
Or some people might actually think there is alien. Some people actually might think there are aliens in there now, because of the whole controversy that has come up. And I think that's why so many people get so curious and want to rampage the place.
Yeah, it is. I reckon it is, because no one's telling them what's in there. So it's that sort of curiosity killed the cat. It's probably more going to be bullets that killed the cat on this one. But it's like that the unknown, why are they lying to us? So straight away the mind starts wandering off. And there will be a percentage of people who genuinely think that there is alien life. There are alien life forms in there. 100%. But as I say, the crazy thing is, there's evidence all around us, everywhere. The pyramids, the technologies, they had batteries in Egypt and so on, and these are supposed to be civilizations that were basic. It's like, I don't even think there's anyone could build the pyramids today, and they're all massive. They're all built with
huge, like, brick formed,
with the brick forms and stuff that are superconductors. So literally, it's like, well, where does this come from? How did they know about electricity then? If they were a backward civilization, how did they do that? And it's people that can't work out why there's no marks on the stones or anything. Well, if you know anything about sound waves, you can render objects weightless. So some of these cuttings on the rocks and the stones, they're literally, you can't get a piece of paper in them. They're packed that tight. And how would you do that with the technologies they had?
They had back then that they say that they had.
That they say that they, but currently today, scientists and educators are telling us that they moved them from a quarry miles away down the river on a barge. The numbers don't stack up. And then not only to move them, but to build them and place them into such precise points within the structure, nothing adds up. For me, it's bullshit. So for me, it doesn't sit well with me. That's what my research has led me to believe. It's not possible what's being suggested. Doesn't sit well with me. So you've got to look at alternative theories.
Yeah,
but there's enough there, man, to, like, suggest there's different life forms or more intelligent, higher intelligence beings than us. Did you see that one where they found the skulls with the elongated skulls?
Yes, yeah. I did see those photos.
Like, pretty freaky, eh?
I'm not about it. Please take me to the one-way trip to Mars.
Yeah, it's like, I keep saying that, though. When the planet stops, let me go. Let me go. I'm quite happy to go. There's just complete madness, and there's so many people lying, or there's so many people covering things up, or then these whistleblowers come out and speak and they end up getting shot, or they get
assassinated.
They get assassinated. Yeah, they commit suicide with 2 bullets in the back of their head. But
it's pretty crazy.
You've just really got to wonder, man. Just ask yourself the question of who's controlling it and why and what are they covering.
Because the Storm Area 51 event is 1 month away.
Yeah, it literally is a month away.
A month away from now.
And it's growing.
It's insane. It is growing. So I'm genuinely so curious onto who will actually storm Area 51 though.
Do you think anyone's planned it though, in terms of like structured it? You know, because obviously you're dealing with an army. You know, the army are well drilled, so the army don't just turn up when they go to battle or go to war with someone. They don't just go, right, we'll just get their lads and then we'll just see how it plays out and we'll just, you know, wing it, see how it goes. Do you think anyone's actually put together a structure or a plan for this? Or it's just like, oh, we'll just rock up. We'll
just walk.
We'll just stroll in.
Hide in a bush.
Yeah.
Fortnite.
There were two guys that, I don't know if you saw, but there was two guys a few years ago. They tried to just ride their dirt bikes in. And there's so many motion sensors and stuff there that obviously people are watching them. And within seconds, two guards were there. Go away, turn around, go back. And it wasn't a polite turn around, go back. It was, you're pretty much, we're going to fuck you up if you don't go.
Leave.
Yeah, if you do not leave,
we're going to
now.
put a bullet between your eyebrows.
Yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. So it's very serious, and there's billions of dollars worth of tech. There's obviously billions of dollars worth of secrecy there, and they're very serious about that. Very, very serious about protecting it. You know what Americans are like. They're very serious about being Americans. They're very serious about their guns, and you know, I don't know if it's going to be a load of, you know, hippie festival goers, say sort of like Woodstock revived, or what it's going to be, or what type of person's going to be storming it. But it seems to be a wide variety of society that's going there from what we've researched.
There's just so many different people on the spectrum that have clicked going.
Yeah.
And it's just some people might actually go and do it, which is crazy to think, though, you know? Well, I know I keep saying it, but it's just...
It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing that people genuinely think that they're going to go storm it. Why?
I tell you what, old Matty there, the guy that started it, he must be literally shitting himself, because at some point he's going to be blamed for this one. Yeah, he's going to be the patsy. He's going to be the Lee Harvey Oswald. That's the patsy on this one. And if I was him, I'd be changing my name and leaving the country. Seriously, he's going to get caned. Literally
Do you think that the government have actually spoke to him?
Yeah. Well, I reckon 100%, man.
His house being raided.
I reckon he'll be very closely monitored. I reckon 100% he's on radars now. He's on radars. They've probably like stapled a flag to his head, a red flag, because he's got to be.
Yeah.
Like for someone like this isn't a joke. It's a top secret military base. I mean, yeah, it's a top secret facility, and there's other ones around the US too. Obviously, that we all know about. If you start researching it, you can find them. Doesn't mean to say you're going to get in, but yeah, I'd say the government's spoken to, man. What do you think they would have said to him? Come in, Matty, have a cup of tea.
Yeah. Oh, we just need to have a chat. And then whilst they're having the chat, there's FBI all around the house just making sure no one comes in.
Like Men in Black standing just outside with their shades on.
Yeah.
It's
hold still.
Yeah. Now, Matty, this is how it's going to play. Meanwhile, Matty's cowering in the corner. His phone keeps beeping because he's getting Facebook notifications of new attendees.
Meanwhile, he has an alien in the corner.
Yeah, meanwhile, he's got an alien in the corner. But there's so many reports, though, of alien sightings, alien beings, and there's even, remember we looked at the footage on YouTube with the news reporters and stuff where the cameras pixelate and their teeth start changing in their faces start turning like...
Because you did bring up the lizard
green
thing
or lizards,
before.
yeah, they started changing like that. And it's like, it's a bit freaky when you see it for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? It's different when you've got someone, like, talking about it, because that's just talk about it. But when you actually visually see it, it's like, whoa. And again, a lot of the ancient cultures have all spoken about lizards or reptilian-looking beings. Where do these things come from unless they've actually seen them?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But do you think society would be ready to handle that, though? No.
I personally don't think that they would be ready for these aliens to come out if they are here.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine standing in Coles or like the fish and the chip shop or something, getting your dinner or, buying your milk, and you just get this 7-foot green reptilian standing next to you, walking right next to you? Be like, okay.
It's just a bit insane, though. I just don't think everyone would be ready for it.
I think it would freak a lot of people out.
It
most
would.
Definitely. Some people I think would just accept it. I'm not sure if it would bother me because of everything I've read and seen. I don't think I would bat an eyelid. But at the same time, I understand why people would, who are in that box where they don't accept any of these possibilities of, no, we're humans, we're here. And that's a great thing about human psychology. It can block us in or it can free us, one of the two. But if people were able to look at the possibilities of, rather than saying, no, that's not possible, and looking at what is possible, then maybe it might work. But I definitely believe they're there. And it is quite freaky, it is quite unsettling.
To think that they're amongst us.
To think that they're amongst us.
Yes.
And I hope they do find something in Area 51. It would be quite good to actually have that conclusive proof. Whether we get it or not, I don't know.
And the info comes out and we actually come to the conclusion of what is in there.
Yeah, and we can actually find out exactly what is going on. Just got to get through 1,000 bullets, a few landmines, maybe some sound wave technology to blast everyone's eardrums, electric fences, rabid dogs.
I feel that if someone did get killed in Area 51, though, the government would just wipe their info out of everything, so they just didn't exist. Because that's what happened to Bob Lazar.
Yeah, I was going to say, who was it? That was Bob Lazar.
The man that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
His university degree was just completely wiped, so you couldn't see his names in the past on the computer. But if you look at written forms and stuff, his name was in the classes.
He shows up.
Yeah, but
he
shows up with his high school and primary school.
Yeah.
Because, I think they planned to assassinate him, but as soon as he came out and revealed his face and said, if I die, it's because the FBI.
It makes it a lot more difficult. Yeah, it generally does from everything that you see and read. I mean, like movies like the Jason Bourne series and other ones. There's a film called Wag the Dog with Robert De Niro and... Oh, Christ, who is it? I think it might be Dustin Hoffman. But where they actually go through these, top level, top secret government things that they're filming and like to go onto television and stuff. And there's so many things where you get taken, the mind gets led to the left, but the actual taken to the right is what's really happening. And Bob Lazar's obviously experiencing his very own Jason Bourne. It's like, who are you? What are you? It's like, well, you don't exist, but on paper I am here, but electronically, Bob, you don't exist, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think he's obviously had to go through that big reveal to put himself out there. So it's like, if anything happens to me, but then again, if anything does happen to him, it just blows over anyway. And it becomes a memory.
The media will try and hide it as much as possible. Yeah,
the media will try and hide it as well. They just put out their government blackouts or sweep the media or whatever, so they can't report on it.
Exactly right.
So, and... I mean, look, it's one of those things. I can understand why it is what it is to a degree, but I think sometimes as well with when the people who are critical thinkers and they see this stuff, conspiracy theorists, critical thinkers, both the same thing, when they see this thing, they understand what's going on. And that's what's happened with Area 51. Everyone's been brainwashed into storming that, the 3.5 million people with that event, but there'll be a few of them already know what's going on around the world, and they'll know that there's certain ancient temples and the ancient monuments where they've came from and what's happened.
And what the real picture is.
What the real big picture is, yeah. And I would certainly think there's some ancient cultures or ancient communities, should I say, that would be well aware of it within their history and their folklore as well.
For sure.
For sure. We should probably think about wrapping this up, actually.
That's what I was actually just about to say. That's what I was waiting. I was like, okay, I'm going to wait. All right, cheers, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the first JJamz podcast. I believe this will be a fortnightly thing, so stay tuned and, follow the social medias. So Instagram is jjamz.oz, and then the Facebook was the same.
JJamz.oz. We'll put these on the screen for you anyway, because we've been so focused on talking about the topic, we didn't think to actually put that information in front of us. So
correct.
But that's all good. At least we're honest anyway. At least we're honest.
Yeah.
So we'll hear from you soon.
Too easy. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank you,
guys.
Bye for now.